I did not think I would be seeing a successful zombies game for quite some time, but that's what we have today. I'm Irritating This, and today we're reviewing World War Z. So what makes World War Z special? Why is this game so successful when other zombie games can't seem to break away from the horde? Well, there's a lot of things that World War Z does right, but I think in my opinion the biggest thing they do right is the zombies and the hordes themselves. I think some of this footage, especially now, speaks for itself. There is a lot of zombies coming towards me. There are a lot of other zombie games that have larger hordes, but the AI just does not seem to cooperate with that size of horde. These zombies are actively climbing over fences, and in some cases even climbing on each other to get to you. All of that, combined with plenty of weapons, explosives, traps, and customizations between both classes and perks, leads to a great replayability factor. That being said, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about the campaign now. So far, there's a total of 4 different episodes, each of them except for the last having 3 different chapters to them. Each one of these is a unique mission that you can play with your friends, and on up to 5 different difficulties. On top of that, there's a fair amount of customization for both classes and your weapons. Right now, there's a total of 6 different classes, and each one with 30 different levels worth of perks that you can unlock. You can't equip them all though. For each vertical tree, you can only have one of the 3. This should allow you to customize your classes every now and then for something fresh. Next, you have weapons. Each weapon has 5 different levels, each of which unlocks 2 different customizations. You can only choose one path at a time though, so be careful with that. As I mentioned before, there are 5 different difficulties. This is set up very much like any other game of this genre. As you go higher, there are more zombies and they are harder to kill. The difference here is that after easy and normal, you no longer spawn with a medkit. In addition, once you get to very hard and insane, you will die faster permanently after incapacitations. Overall, gameplay in this game is pretty fantastic. I'm really enjoying this. However, there's a couple of mechanics that might be worth explaining. This right here is a lurker. They like to jump out of hidden places and take you down. There are a couple of other special zombies, including gas bags, heavies. Like right here, you have a heavy coming around. They like to charge players. Quick tip with them is if you're in a lower difficulty, you can knife them in the back twice and they'll go down pretty quickly. In addition to that, there's also screamers, which scream at basically the top of their lungs and attract more zombies with noise. But as far as special zombies, that is all we have for now. More on that later. As far as guns, you can find loot throughout the map. You can only hold 1 primary, 1 secondary, and 1 heavy. The heavy being that big bazooka that I have in my back, but you can also get other things like a payload rifle or machine guns, etc. You'll find loot throughout the map, as you're seeing right now. There's ammo spread throughout the map, grenades, but when you pick up grenades, only one player can pick up that specific bag of grenades, so if somebody else needs it more than you do, be aware of that. That means that if somebody has a perk that maybe does more damage to grenades, perhaps it's a better idea to have them pick that up. As far as perks go, you can also get certain perks and loadouts that let you start with certain weapons, so if you have a favorite, that's something that you might want to look out for. What you just saw there was a special room that has probably good loot in it. You have to find breaching charges throughout the map to open those. I'm not sure if you always are guaranteed a breaching charge. Loot seems pretty random as far as I can tell, but usually if there's a breaching room, I've been able to find a breaching charge so far. Anyways, with the way the maps and the campaign work, there's generally just objectives that you have to get somewhere, find something. Very standard things, nothing really unique or innovative there. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there with the campaign. I don't want to spoil too much for anybody who might want to be interested in the story. Next I'm going to talk about the multiplayer that they've added to this game. So far, there's 5 different game modes that they've added. That includes Domination, King of the Hill, Deathmatch, Scavenge Raid, and a Vaccine Hunt. So far, I've only ever been able to play King of the Hill or Deathmatch. The other modes don't seem popular enough to be able to find a queue. That being said, they all seem to be pretty standard game modes for a game like this. The only twist being that in each one of them, there are hordes of zombies that interact with the players that are competing against each other. These don't get too annoying, but they do kind of change the dynamic in the game in what I thought was a fun way, especially for King of the Hill. If a team is dominating an objective and there's a horde of zombies, that gives the opposing team just enough time to get in there and claim that objective. So the gunplay in this kind of makes me think older Gears of War without all the flashy movement. Players seem to have quite a bit of health. They take a while to take them down. This third-person shooting, of course, is the biggest factor there. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. The gameplay is pretty fun. From the 2 games that I played, I didn't really like King of the Hill after a couple of games because it seems like you either get demolished or you demolish them, and that was basically continuously the same way. Whereas with Team Deathmatch, it was a little bit more dynamic. You didn't have to worry about holding an objective. It was just plain old Deathmatch. And really the only anecdotes I have as far as Deathmatch is that the sniper is really good. I had a really good time in this match with it, and that melee is really, really strong. If somebody gets anywhere close to you, just melee, you'll probably win the fight. But lastly, pay attention to your heavy weapon when that is up, because it is a huge bonus. They're mostly one-hit kills if you can get them on target, so don't forget to use them when you have them. They charge up over time. It's kind of a weird mechanic, but you can also find them around the map. Just pay attention to those. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this multiplayer footage rolling in the background when we talk about a couple more topics. The first of which that I would like to talk about is communication from the developers for this game. They've been very, very active on Twitter and in any other forms of media where they're, you know, letting players know, hey, we didn't really expect this amount of players, we have more content planned, we'd like to be able to make sure you guys stick around. So the first of these tweets is just them saying thank you for all the support, the team is hard addressing known issues, so it looks like that they're planning on fixing a lot of the issues that people have been reporting over time, and it hasn't been that long for that matter, which is a good idea. A lot of publishers release games and they just let them sit. So here's another tweet along the same lines of that, is that all these fixes are coming soon, as well as private lobbies, which is something that a lot of people have been asking for because they don't want randoms joining their game, ruining things, just being bad teammates in general, but also people don't want to join a game halfway through, which is what happened to me. I'll show you a little bit of a clip with that towards the end, but it's just good that they know about these things and they're working on them. The next tweet is in a different vein. They're also planning a new Tokyo mission. So it looks like when they said, or when they released the game rather, that Tokyo mission, the second one, was the finality, but apparently there's a new Tokyo mission coming, as well as a new special zombie. So they also shared this picture along with that, and the quote says that the virus spread by this one is known to quickly take over new hosts. I suspect this will probably transform you into a zombie, either temporarily or permanently for that matter, but it'll be a lot harder to deal with. You want to kill it fast. It'll give you a more, you know, teamwork-oriented thing or goal to go towards. You don't want to let this zombie live, which is probably a good idea, because the only thing that I think kind of came close to that so far is the lurkers and the heavies, because the other ones are just kind of manageable. The gas bags, they don't do a terrible amount of damage, and while the screamers are good to take care of, I've actually had them get stuck in places where I couldn't kill them and we were still just fine. One of the last things I wanted to talk about, though, is the future of this game. So I'm going to show you a little bit of a search result trend that I found from Google for the last 30 days for the term World War Z. As you can see, there's that big bump on the release day, but then it kind of goes down, and then there's a little bit of resurgence, and then it looks like it's tanking, and the forecast after today is also not looking good according to Google. This is something that we've been seeing a lot more of with newer games. If you look at Apex Legends, that one is also tanking really hard because they're just not producing enough content. This is an example that was kind of set by Epic Games with their Fortnite, and there's a lot of discussion on this right now as to whether or not that's a good thing or not. Arguably, it's terrible, in my opinion. You should not, or I guess we shouldn't expect this much content so fast from these game companies. Maybe we should start focusing on other games in the meantime, but that's another discussion, not for this video. The other thing that I want to talk about is there's something that I think they desperately need for this game to continue adding more playability, and they've done a good job with that thus far with the classes and the other perks and things that you can switch out, different gameplay styles. But that would pair really, really well with an endless survival mode. There's something that we've had in previous zombie games as almost like a staple, and I'm not saying they need to be the new COD zombies, but it could not hurt. Something with a competitive leaderboard even would probably be really good for this kind of game, just to keep people interested in the long run while we wait for more content, perhaps. So overall, I would say this is a pretty great game so far. They have a lot of room to improve on things. There's some bugs that a lot of people have been reporting that I personally haven't seen, but obviously that can't be good for a player base and retaining it. I would say this game is definitely worth its $35, but not much more. I'm glad that they did not release it at a $60 price point, because I probably would have bought it just for this video and then kind of been disappointed with the value that I got for the price. The campaign itself is fun, the multiplayer is fun, but neither of which I see myself getting sucked into for extended periods of time. While I say there is replayability, I do not see myself personally being super interested in it, to the point where when I went to make this video, it was really hard to organize my thoughts, and it's probably evident in such. We ended up with a long video, and I feel like I didn't get as much content in there as I possibly could have, like with my previous two. That being said, I probably will not commit to doing specific videos in coming weeks, because I feel like if I could back out of this one, I probably would have, but I want to stick to my schedule. That being said, I'm going to immediately promise to the video for next week in that I am playing Minecraft next week. It's a little bit of a change up from what we've been doing recently with FPS games, but there is something out there called Sonic Aether's Shaders, which adds ray tracing to Minecraft, and I'm super interested in that, and I definitely want to do a video with that. So I say I won't commit to videos, probably the last time I'll do that. Next week, Minecraft. After that, no guarantees. Anyway, if you made it this far, I really appreciate it. If you're not already subscribed, I'd ask that you please do. This is a small channel, we're slowly growing, and I'm hoping to continue this with a Friday upload every week. I've got a couple other projects planned as well, including a giveaway once we hit 100 subscribers, but we'll see when we get there. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week.
Enemy team is winning. Heavy weapon spawn.